Are you ready? Are we on? Yes, we're live. Okay, we're live. So, live from Amenia Town Hall. Thank you all for coming. It's Thursday, February 6th, and I wanted to move that we come out of executive session.
A second.
Yes, that we exit executive session.
Is that you?
I'll second.
Gotta speak up.
7:12.
Okay, now I move that we start the public meeting. So, we'll start by saluting the flag as we always do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And I'm sure you're all sick of hearing it, but the two exits in an emergency are the door you came in and this door over here. And Dawn, roll call.
Supervisor Blackman?
Here.
Councilmembers Winters?
Here.
Brevard?
Here.
Ham? Here. Ahern?
Here.
Thank you.
So we will start with a public comment. 3 minutes. Are there people here who are here to comment?
This is on the general
well,
meeting.
Okay.
I
Wait.
think some of these people might be here
Yep.
for the public hearing.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me be clear. This isn't to talk about the cannabis local laws because we have a public hearing on that, so that you can talk about them then. There's also a public hearing on suggestions for the use of the community development block grant. So if you were going to ask, if you were going to make a statement based on those, wait until we do the public hearing, so it's recorded in the public hearing. So, does anyone else have something to say? Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Hi, Ken Sapolsky, Cascade Mountain Road, council members. I want to talk about the logo that you're putting together. I
Yeah.
think it's a bit premature, and I'll tell you why. You have the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee is now talking about and finally making good progress on what is Amenia going to be for the next 10 years. What is the future? You have an Economic Development Committee, and one of the things that's talked about there is, okay, we're going to develop Amenia, but what are we developing? Do we want to bring in a resort community, like bring in the Wolf Resort and have them, or do we want to bring in, reinstate the agricultural route? The community is just starting through these two committees to figure out what the brand of Amenia is. And now, if you spend money to put together a new logo, it'll be as antiquated as the one you have now. I mean, if you look at the wonderful patchwork behind you, are any of those the Amenia of today or tomorrow? The Amenia of yesterday is important, there's no question about it. But to spend the money now is not money well spent. It's foolish. I suggest you delay this till you get at least some consultation from the two committees I mentioned. The Comprehensive Plan Review, and the Economic Development. Both intend to speak to all the stakeholders of Amenia and find out who they see the town of the future, what that is. So I ask you not to spend that money because I feel it will be wasted. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's $5,000, just so you know. Okay, anyone else?
I can tell you $5,000 that will be well spent in this community in many places. If you want to give it away, I'm done.
Okay, anyone else have something to say? Okay, then let us begin the public hearing part. The first is on the cannabis local law to repeal the town's opt-out for dispensaries.
Is that you making a motion? I'm sorry, to open the public hearing?
Oh, sorry. That was me making a motion to enter into the public hearing.
Second.
This is just a continuation of the last one, correct?
Yes, and it's a
Correct.
continuation of the one we had 2 weeks ago.
Thank you, Brad. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Brevard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay, so the first public hearing of the three is, as I said, on the cannabis local law to repeal the town's opt-out for dispensaries. Does anyone have anything to say on that subject? Oop, there we go.
Hi, Diane Rivara. I'm a resident of Amenia, and I spoke at the last meeting. My views really haven't changed. I don't think that Amenia needs to have a dispensary. I don't think it's good for the neighborhood, for the parks, the people in the neighborhoods. I don't think we need to have it. I think that there's been a lot of recent studies showing that the increased use of marijuana affects memory. We know it affects motor skills. It affects impaired driving. But mostly, I believe that a lot of members of this community don't have social media, aren't on social media. They're not aware of what's being put forth, and I think it really should be a referendum that people vote on to make the decision whether the town of Amenia brings in marijuana dispensaries.
And this is open to public, I mean, this is open to public referendum, so
Right, but a
if
lot
people
of
put
people
that
don't, aren't
together.
aware of, you know, all of the announcements, all of the things that are put on social media. A lot of people don't follow social media. I try not to follow social media, but
Thank
it
you.
doesn't always work.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, if it may please the board. My name is Daniel Donnelly. I reside at 15 Old North Road here in Amenia. And I'm speaking on behalf of a referendum to opt in to recreational cannabis in Amenia. In November of 2021, I addressed this esteemed board urging it to opt in. It was decided against that measure back then. Undeterred, I testified before Middletown's Common Council in favor of that measure. Middletown also declined. But let me tell you about who opted in. Middletown surrounding urbanizations of Wawayanda, Wallkill, and New Hampton all recognized the opportunity and opted in. To date, I've been unable to get the statistics for the tax revenues generated from that business, but a local source tells me that business is booming. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenue is being generated in these townships. A lot of this consumption by Middletowners going to these townships, people passing through Middletown to consume in these townships. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. Middletown sees not a dime of that action. And surprise, surprise, fears raised by the Middletown Mayor Joseph DeStefano in opposition to the measure never materialized. That's right, there was no pothead apocalypse in Middletown. This could be a vibrant and lucrative stream of revenue for Amenia. And if the board were to take this decision itself and preclude that choice, that would be a big mistake. But you could say I'm wrong. Yeah, why not? My wife always does. Maybe I'm wrong that Amenia would be a good place for this. Maybe I'm wrong that there's enough political will to vote this in. But if we submit it to referendum and get a negative vote, then that seals the deal. And that insulates you from the electoral fallout. So I suggest that we go through with a referendum for this measure. Thank you very much, then.
Anyone else on the opt-in? Yes.
I know I promised not to. This is Doug Broughton, 390 Old Route 22. I've spoken a few times in the last 2 years about this. I just want to pick an exclamation on his statement. This is financial. This is, a lot of the arguments against it seem to weigh on legality. It's legal. This is just financial. This is an option that will bring, it's not going to pave their streets with gold, but it's going to bring a lot of revenue in, and it could bring ancillary business in as well. So I believe we should not leave it to a vote and leave it to you guys. On a good note, I'm, as you know, up for a license, a micro license, the small farmer license for cannabis. And I just got the call. They've been, Albany does put off the small farmers in this state, and they have for years for the corporates. They get the corporates all set up, so they're able to come through and swoop into these communities that have opted out and then put pressure down later, and then all of a sudden you have some, say, take Etain Riv, RIV, they're out of Toronto. They just run your community after that. If you're gonna opt in, you probably want somebody local, like myself. And there's more local people around here that also are small farmers that are also up for this license. But I just got the notification from the OCM yesterday morning that I am up for review. And that usually takes a month or so. All my cards are down. Everything's been actually submitted over a year ago. It's just, they finally got to me. And so I would like to have it here, because this is where I live. I can get my license regardless of the opt-in. I would like to have it here because this is where I live, but I have 25 miles of crow flies to put my dispensary. So if you don't opt in here, it's going to be disappointing, because I think this community could do a lot of small businesses that would just bring revenue that would surprise you. It's not going to be like $100 or $1,000. It's going to be quite a bit more, especially since we're at a crossroads here. People going to Connecticut, people going north. If we ever get snow again, it'll be a year-round business. But anyway, I said my piece. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Julie.
Good evening. My name is Julie Whalen. I live on Leedsville Road in Amenia. I have a little side note of not, I listened to the meeting you had last time, and it was a little upsetting that some of the facts that were said weren't really actual facts. People stated that they'd known people to overdose, but did they overdose because they had bought legal cannabis? Did they overdose probably because they bought illegal drugs on the street? I don't think that people listen and know what they're talking about. I do go up to Great Barrington to go shopping. I don't see people weaving in and out of traffic like was stated, that there's more accidents there, that having a dispensary in Amenia is going to bring more crime, having people on the streets. I am in the medical field, so bringing legal cannabis to Amenia might help people in need. You can go on the New York State website and see allowed uses for it. And I'm sure that one of these uses for legal cannabis has affected your family: cancer, multiple sclerosis. People that have substance abuse disorders can use cannabis to stay off illegal street drugs, possibly. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I've seen the effect of legal cannabis on people with multiple sclerosis that could not walk at one point, and after using it have been able to function more in life. So just having legal cannabis in Amenia, and we don't even know if anybody wants to really have a store. Is there a proper place for it? We don't have a lot of zoning in Amenia that might even allow it because of all the, setbacks from library, parks, churches, cemeteries. So I think people are also getting worked up, and we don't even know, we have somebody here that says he does, but there's surrounding towns that are opted in, and do we see them opening up in Millerton or Northeast and Pine Plains? So I think also people are getting worried that, we're going to have all these drug heads on the streets in Amenia, and if it's going to be, they're already here. Bringing in local cannabis is not going to make it any different. And if they're going to buy it legit, then they will, and if not, they won't. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh my God, I think you had your hand up first. Go ahead, Judy.
My name is Judy Moran. A couple of comments. One, I'm not here to speak for or against cannabis per se. I'm here to say I think it ought to be a referendum, which I said last time. I would like to address the monetary aspect. My understanding in looking at the cannabis law online is that we would get a share of the sales tax for Dutchess County. The 4% sales tax for Dutchess County, 1% would go to the county, 3% would come to the town. If we sold $500,000 worth of cannabis, we would get $15,000. I'm not sure anybody is looking at this logically if they think we would get even $100,000, never mind hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other thing is the comment about someone at the last meeting saying that someone had overdosed on cannabis. They didn't say that. They said I had a family member who overdosed on another drug but started out with cannabis. So they were not wrong. They were telling their story. Apparently it didn't come across in an accurate fashion to everyone who is listening. So that's all.
Thank you. Someone on that? Yes, there you go.
Good evening, board members. Pleasure to be here. My name is Phyllis Rosa. I live on Sharon Station Road in Amenia, and I have been a resident of Amenia my entire life. So obviously this town is very important to me, and I believe we should opt in to have a cannabis dispensary. My reasons are basically medical. My husband passed away with pancreatic cancer. His oncologist from the Dialysis Center, Dr. Romanero, strongly urged and insisted that my husband get medical marijuana and cannabis, which was a lengthy and almost a nightmarish process. Papers had to be approved by the state. She had to give a formal information of diagnosis, and we had to travel way beyond Kingston for my husband to receive the card, the medications, and me a card as a caregiver. Cannabis is prescribed for many medical conditions, as Julie pointed out, and it is approved by the FDA. It helps with chronic pain, glaucoma, poor appetite. It eases nausea, migraine, seizures, anxiety, insomnia, inflammation due to arthritis, and it lowers cravings for tobacco, heroin, alcohol. The World Health Organization says CBD exhibits no effects of abuse or dependence potential. It does not impair daily functioning or workplace performance. All the sales associates are trained to know the product, they're knowledgeable of the ingredients. The products are tested and approved for use. And like it was mentioned, a percentage of the sales tax, and I had been informed 4%, would stay in town. I would like to see something that's managed and legal replace something that is just willy-nilly and you don't know what you're getting. So I am definitely opting in, and I'm hoping it can be done through the board. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Kenny Merritt, Cascade Road. So there's been several things said about this. Personally, I kind of feel that it's funny that we're talking about this on monetary values when, if what Judy said is true. If we're going to go through all of this to just raise money in town, why don't we just open up a brothel and a strip club while we're at it? Because I'm assuming that we'd make pretty good money with that. So you got that argument. Also, It was stated in the last meeting that people were worried about their kids getting exposed to different drugs because of the weed that they were getting off the street. Well, it's my understanding you're gonna have to be 21 years old to go into one of these stores anyway, so it doesn't really solve that problem. Your kids are still getting it off the street unless you're gonna go buy it for them or they're gonna find somebody to buy it for them like people do beer. So you got that. I don't really think, as a parent, I got a 8-year-old daughter, I don't want her to be doing drugs. I understand that it's a possibility that it might happen. I don't want her to do it though, but I also feel like putting it out in front of the public, like there's a store where you can go buy it, kind of sets a bad precedent to me. I think that it can be a gateway drug to bigger problems. I understand there are some uses for it. Medically, I get that. But as a general thing, it seems that you're just putting a good label on it, even though it's something that we all know we shouldn't be doing. Because, I mean, face it, the same government that tells you shouldn't smoke cigarettes is all of a sudden pushing this stuff. So that's all I got to say about that. Thank you for your time. Oh, and I think it should be put up to a vote to the people to decide, not come from the town board. Because again, if we're going to deal with it, it should come from us, not from, we're almighty, here you go. Have a nice night.
Okay, anyone else on this subject? Okay.
Can I make a clarification?
I have
Wait
public
a
comment.
minute. What?
Public comment?
Public comment.
We've received a public comment from John Moyler. Cannabis dispensaries should be put to public referendum on the ballot. We do not have enough of the police presence in this town to handle DUIs and no parking laws, let alone any new OWI drivers. Studies have shown how long people should go before driving after taking cannabis. I'm not sure many do not follow these guidelines. I'm sure there will be plenty of people that will buy their edibles and take them in the parking lot or on their way home. My guess would be more than people drinking in the parking lot of the liquor store. Studies have shown if you take the average joint, which generally contains 120 milligrams of THC, it should take around 12 hours before your blood level drops to the 2% limit. It also advises that you should not drive much sooner than 24 hours after consuming cannabis. How long should you wait to drive after taking an edible? Even eating a gummy on a full stomach can delay or prolong the effect of the edible. However, in general, most experts advise that if you're going to eat a gummy, you should wait anywhere from 8 to 12 hours before getting behind the wheel. So this is an emailed comment. Thank you.
Thank you. The second public hearing on cannabis
Well-
is, you have more?
No.
We have to
but
close-
before we get going, we're gonna either open, close, how are we, what's your,
Oh, I thought
on
we
this
just
one.
opened public
This was
comments. We
just
do
for
them
the,
one at a time,
yeah, we had
huh?
to do each one individually. So
Okay, then
Paul wants to comment
I just want to clarify
at the podium.
for the community here. This is more of a moral decision than whether it's a financial decision. When I first brought this up last February, that we've been talking about it since then for a year now. So it's been out there in the public. This isn't something that's new. We've been discussing this for a year. This was about giving people that use cannabis dignity, right? That's what I brought this forward to. It's been around in our community forever. It's here every day. People use it. So that was the idea. It wasn't about the financial aspect. And in speaking with the town lawyer, 2 years ago, 5 people decided to opt out. Now, I'm hearing a lot of people in the community say that they want to see it on a public vote. Well, you didn't complain 5 years ago or 2 years ago or have anything to say when 5 people decided to take the community out. But we cannot legally make it a public referendum. All we can do is by permissive referendum, and the community will have to make it a public referendum. It's not our decision. The only thing that we can do is vote on a permissive referendum, and then it's up to the community to force it to the public. That's it.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something. Ian.
I can clarify.
There's a process.
The legal issue with
Yeah.
regards to the referendum.
Right.
In order to go on the ballot, you need statutory authority to do so.
Okay.
There is no statutory authority to do so in this instance. So this, based on the
Move your microphone again.
Based on the doctrine of legislative equivalency, this was passed with a permissive referendum. Therefore, we opted out under a permissive referendum. Therefore, if we want to opt in, you have to opt in back on a permissive referendum. Permissive referendum provides a time period for which the public can submit a petition. And if they submit a petition and it's validated and it's deemed an effective petition, then it would go to the ballot. So that's the process, the legal process. You can't skip that process, unfortunately. So I hope that clarifies at least the referendum and petition discussion.
I would move that we leave the first public comment item
Are you
and
closing?
close it.
Yeah.
Closing it.
Make a motion to close.
Okay.
I'll second.
7:38. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes?
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revlar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
I move that we open the second public hearing on, this is specifically about the cannabis local laws to amend the zoning code to allow dispensaries. So if anyone has something specifically to say
So
about.
Leo, you're moving that?
Didn't I move that?
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll second.
Thanks. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revlar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Oh, great, now go ahead. Call your comments.
Okay, so this public hearing is about cannabis, but it's specifically, instead of the opt-in or opt-out decision, it's about the law that would, I'm sorry, the previous one was about repealing the town's opt-out. This is about the amending the zoning code to allow dispensaries to opt in other words. So people may have already said what they need to say on that, but if anyone would like to speak about that directly, you're welcome to do so.
If I could just clarify that, Leo,
You go right ahead.
the first public hearing was to repeal the opt-out and opt-in for dispensary only. The second public hearing, the public hearing that is open now, that is for the zoning to regulate any dispensary that would be opened in the town.
Okay, if you can take one and pass it down. Just for the record, the town board is being circulated. They did receive them by email, but I did go ahead and take the opportunity to print them out. They have received official comments from the Dutchess County Planning and Development Department, as well as our Town of Amenia Planning Board, who have made comments, and they're within. And they were
Oh.
circulated prior to the meeting, but I brought them should any of the members of those two boards be here tonight, you would have them in front of you.
I was going to suggest that we continue or maybe close, I don't know how it would work, close the current zone or public hearing on the zoning code, because obviously none of us have had time to review all this stuff properly from the county or from our planning board. And at the end of the day, this is two separate things, right? The opt-out, opt-in, and the zone code. Even if we pass the opt-in, it still has to get approved by the state. So we have time still to continue to address the zoning code.
There were a lot of issues that were raised that we probably as a board need to discuss, and the planner will need to do a bit of rewriting. So, was that a motion
I'm motioning that,
to table it?
let's,
May I suggest that since you have the public hearing open, that you have the public hearing and the public is here to speak on the zoning issue, that they be allowed to speak and to their comments. We could close the public hearing thereafter, consider all the comments that were made, submit that back to our planner for revision to address those comments. And then, as Paul did indicate, there is some time in order to redraft that and put it back out. So, I would still allow the public who is here to comment on the zoning aspect if they so choose.
Okay, so if anyone would like to comment on the zoning aspect of this or the specifics of basically where businesses will go in town and the regulations for sighting and for the exterior and the security and all those other things, you're more than welcome to address that if you'd like. You know, we're not keeping count, Judy, I just want to.
No, I know. I simply want to say, clearly, this is a waste of everyone's time until a new local or zoning regulation is formed. So, yeah, we should just shut this down and go on.
Okay, but I will give people a last chance, just because those comments could be useful as we move on to the next step.
Oh, Mr. Ken? Coming? Yes, he is.
Just, very quickly, are the comments from Dutchess County available to the public? Where can we find them?
That's a good question. Ian, is
Um,
that?
We can put them up on the website. They'll go under tonight's packet. We'll have the staff add them. I don't think she
They'll be
added
added to
them.
the minutes or to,
It'll be added to tonight's packet agenda.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no other comments, I'm going to close the public hearing on the zoning aspect of the cannabis law.
He's making,
And I move that we close this public hearing.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
I suggest that we open the third public hearing. I mean, I'd make a motion.
I'll second.
And that is for the Community Development Block Grant, also known as the CDBG. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. So, just so people understand what this is, there is money given out by Dutchess County, although I'm not sure it all originates from Dutchess County, to communities in the form of a community development block grant that is a project that would benefit people in the town, and especially people who have limited options in the town, meaning people who are disabled or people, I don't know. Anyway, you get the gist. So the community development block grant has been used each year for a variety of different projects, and we just wanted to see if you had any suggestions for what kind of project we might put that towards now. Charlie?
Hi, Charlie Miller. Community development block grants are funded by HUD and generally have 3 or 4 specific categories of use: housing, public facilities, drinking water, and wastewater. And so I would recommend that the town apply for the drinking water. It's for drinking water and wastewater, it's a $200,000 grant. The engineering report that's been done for the water district, which if people don't know, serves about 1,000 people in the town of Amenia, which is over 25% of our population, has significant deferred maintenance issues. And there's an engineering report that calls out, the overall report is a chunk, and then it has 4 sub-projects inside of it. And Dutchess County will allow the town to apply for one of those projects this year, and I feel we'd probably get it, so that'd be $200,000, and they could apply again next year for another one of those sub-projects, so that'd be another $200,000. Preference is given to communities that have moderate to low income, and the water district is in a census tract that is majoritarily low to middle income. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Any other suggestions from the room? Bill?
Bill Flood, I'm chairman of the Water Committee. I would also ask that the board apply for the $200,000 for the water district. As you know, we've made a lot of changes this year. We have a great committee that's done a lot of work. We've actually put some money in the bank, paid to have some valves fixed, other stuff fixed in the water district. So and obviously we need more money. There's a lot of work that's got to be done. So I would recommend that you apply for that grant for us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Judy, did I see your hand?
I find myself in a little bit of a schizophrenic position here because as a member of the Water Committee and the Water District, I also approve of that as a suggestion, but as a member of the Recreation Committee, I would like to suggest that the town consider applying for a grant which would pay for a new playground equipment in Beekman Park. The one that's there now has been unusable for a while. And while this grant, the amount available, 125,000, would not entirely cover the cost of the playground equipment, it would almost entirely cover the cost. So I think both of them are worthwhile projects. Luckily, I don't have to decide. You get to decide, so I'm going to make both suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, anyone else about CDGB? No. Never mind. Anyway, there are any other comments on this subject? I guess not. Okay, I suggest we close the public hearing on the community development block grant subject.
I'll second that.
Rosanna, she beat you to it, just.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Fablelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay, supervisors report, that's me. We have gotten in the last couple of weeks 3 reports from immigrant neighbors about immigration agents in the center of town, and I can't personally confirm those reports, but there certainly was a sense of panic in the community. There is a pamphlet that's put out by New York State and some other groups on immigrant rights, and I have that as a JPEG, so I will email it to anyone if they just contact me at lblackman@ameniany.gov. The highway garage, the architects continue to meet with us every week, and I know that Megan is excited and happy with their performance so far. They're actually ahead of schedule. The site and interior plans are done. They're beginning on finishes and the plumbing and electrical. I also just wanted to say that the Village of Millerton's highway garage burned to the ground this week. It also had their water in it, but they lost all their equipment and their records. And Megan and their crew have offered to help them out and is willing to loan them a truck for plowing and sanding, which, in light of the fact that we suddenly have a bunch of storms, is a very nice gesture. Fountain Square, the enhancement committee met a number of weeks back to figure out scope of electrical work and paving. There's a sketch nearly done, but I have a feeling the landscape architect ultimately is going to need to help us out and finish that so that we can get a package to bid. In the Water District, Delaware Engineering will appear at our next meeting, February 20th, to present their final map plan and report, which recommends a list of repairs to the system and likely cost. And they've also inventoried recently non-functioning valves and hydrants, so we sort of know before there's a fire of which ones are functioning. I attended a meeting of the Dutchess County Supervisors and Mayors Association Tuesday night, and they had a speaker from Dutchess County Department of Health. I spoke to him afterwards about how the location of wetlands in Amenia makes septic downtown really tough, and he offered to come with an engineer to see whether they could think of anything to help us. So I will set that up once talking to the appropriate committees can. Streetscape. I attended a presentation to the residents of Millerton by an engineer gathering information for improvements on Century Boulevard. And when I was there, I remember that we actually had a plan done for Main Street, Amenia, in 2004, sitting in a drawer. I called the designer who lives in Wassaic and asked if he'd be willing to represent that plan to the board, which he was, so hopefully we'll do that within the next session or two. Enforcement. While Mike is away having his hip replaced, we have been using a consultant, Z3, to cover both the building department and zoning. I am planning to ask the consultant to stay on when Mike returns. He only comes in one day every 2 weeks, but he's made a lot of progress in terms of convincing homeowners who've had projects that have, issues that have remained unchanged over a long period of time. He's been very on top of that, and we have money in the budget for a zoning enforcement officer. Someone who would work 20 hours a week, and his salary fits within that. So I think it's worth keeping him around until we can fill that position, so we can clean up zoning things that have been going on for an incredibly long time. Cascade Creek, Hudson River Housing met with the neighbors last week of the proposed workforce housing development, and they seem to listen to each other. That's secondhand. That's what I was told. I wasn't there. I also wanted to talk about the AV stuff in this room. Dawn connected us to someone who set up the system in Dover and also teaches IT at Weebatuck. Hopefully he will actually come up with a design for this to get us new equipment. And also I'll note that Robert Saladay is taking his first turn as videographer tonight, so good luck with that. On the website, Charlie and I have had a few meetings with Town Web, who are the designers that we hired for the website. And today it was presented to the primary staff users to get their input, since obviously it's going to require putting in sort of updating information on the web on a regular basis. But mostly it was looking at the way you would navigate around the site, and there'll be a presentation to the board after the next meeting with the web designers. And we are also in the process of pricing the LED sign. And the last thing is Northeast Community Center. Are you going to give a recreation, say anything about recreation as a report?
Judy might.
Judy might, okay.
Board of Rec Director.
Okay. Well, not right now, I'm sorry, but I wanted to mention something if you weren't going to. NEC said they're getting close to setting up free yoga and Zumba in our gym. And Rec has been doing other stuff as well, which Judy will mention after the town clerk's report.
I have a comment on the supervisor's report, which I didn't see a copy of beforehand. But regarding anything to do with the federal government and their investigations in town as related to ICE, the town board has no authority whatsoever, nor do we have the authority to do anything that would even represent or look like obstruction of justice. I wasn't aware of Leo's comment on that here this evening, or offering to hand out a handout. So I just want to be very clear on that. Thank you.
And my feeling is that as long as the information we're putting out is legal, we don't have to worry about doing so. Okay, I think it's time for your report,
All right,
Dawn.
so good evening. I'd like to start the report off, and we're all sitting, but if we could just have a brief moment of silence. The town of Amenia has lost a 98-year young woman. She was a central part of this town. My thoughts go out tonight to the Murphy family, to Kathleen, Adrian, Elizabeth, Robert, Brian, Larry, and Andrew. Your mom was and will always be a vital part of this town. For those of us that grew up, we know going to the First National Bank, which everybody here knows as the Bank of Millbrook, we'd go in there, have our first little bank book, and make our first little deposits. That smiling face and that greeting woman that was in there taught us all about banking. Then as we began to get older, we got our driving licenses and our permits. Then sometimes you get the chance of seeing, you know, Mrs. Murphy in a different perspective in the courtroom if you get a ticket. Mrs. Murphy stood by her husband, the Honorable James Murphy, when he served as our town justice for 46 years. The two of them served this town with such pristine and character that really set what our justice court and our system is here in the town of Amenia. She set like that raises that bar, and it's an absolute honor for me to be here tonight and recognizing her and her family for what they've done for the Amenia Justice Court. She served on our ethics. Proudly, she served the Amenia Fire Company and the auxiliary for 72 years. Has the history of being the trustee and a treasurer at our very own Amenia Free Library, a junior women's club of Amenia, and our trustee and a treasurer for Violet H. Simmons Scholarship. And she's also a member of the board for the Rex Brasher Association. And those of us all are part of the community. We knew she knew what a sense of community was, being part of the library, being part of that scholarship committee that offered so many children and children that still are continuing through that scholarship program. And the Rex Brasher Association, for those of you that visit the town clerk's office, those beautiful paintings that are right there and available in the town clerk's office. So tonight, as the family goes through what they're going to be dealing with for the next couple days and as the days ahead, may the Murphy family be in all of our prayers. And we thank Mrs. Murphy for the extraordinary work and time that she has dedicated to the town of Amenia. On behalf of the town clerk's office, I do want to present the January 16th minutes for approval. If you guys had the opportunity. Somebody want to accept those?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Supervisor?
Much as I trust you, I didn't read them.
I gave you the one.
Thank you.
Yes.
So it's yay, nay, or abstain?
Oh, that would,
I'm really,
that would have to be an abstention for
okay,
me.
thank you.
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Lord, Ham?
Yes.
Yes.
Ahern. Thank you. And for the collection of funds in the town clerk's office for the month of January 2025, the state, county, and local sharers collected in the amount of $482.25, remitted to the supervisor in the amount of $453.25. As we know, this is my favorite time of year, is tax collection. So as I read the announcements, I won't bore you with those legal notices, but I am collecting $9,008,387 for this collection. To date, my office has collected, I'm gonna turn the page, so I need both. $2,929,862.22 being remitted to the supervisor already for our special districts who have been satisfied in full. Our Amenia Library, $245,000, Amenia Fire, $1,214,489.09, Amenia Lighting, $18,000, Amenia Water, $61,131.44, Wasake Fire, $437,700, Wasake Lighting, $6,500, RB Levied Water, $29,420.20, and I've also made partial payments to our general fund and our highway fund. Also presenting for approval this evening is the annual review for the Justice Court records as circulated prior, and Deputy Supervisor Ham was able to meet with myself and Maureen. So I have those to present for approval and acceptance,
You need me to make that motion?
if you would like. Or
I would like to.
I will second it.
It's fall. Did you want to make any comments, or you guys good? Okay. Supervisor?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revlard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Special shout out and thank you to all of the residents and those that traveled near and far to participate in this year's annual blood drive here at the Amenia Town Hall. So thank you. And as our friendly reminder, we do have an upcoming pancake breakfast at the Amenia Firehouse. That will be on Sunday, February 16th from 7:30 to 11. Come one, come all, have some pancakes. Thank you. That concludes the town clerk's report.
Okay. So we have a number of discussion items.
I think we're gonna let somebody give it their report.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Judy. Are you able to do that? Thank you very much for reminding me.
On Monday, this past Monday, we did have our first session of ice skating up at Silo Ridge. It was really lovely. There were about 14 people there, which is more than we thought when we first started getting responses. But all ages, some very good skaters and some little 2-year-old new skaters, and they had a lovely fire pit there. I expect that there will be pictures in the paper, and we're going to post some on the website. Our rec supervisor will be doing that as soon as I send them to him. And we are having 2 more sessions, one for this coming Monday, February 10th, if people can drag themselves out after the Super Bowl, and one on February 24th. So highly recommend that anybody who likes ice skating come. It was really quite nice, and we're very grateful for Silo for making it a pleasant experience. The only other news really is that we did hear back about the application for a grant for the Amenia Green project, and we were not awarded the grant. So we are in the process of continuing to work forward with Dodona Associates, who is doing the architectural design, the landscape design, and we anticipate moving forward, and when we are at a point where we can look for more grants, we will be doing so. We also have this Saturday a program for Valentine's Day crafts for kids from 10 to 12. Hopefully there won't be any snow during that period or before then. It's free. Anyone is able to come. It's in the recreation room upstairs at the town hall. And I think that's about it. So
I have one thing for the rec commission. Ms. Julie Whalen has offered, her husband has offered parking. If you guys ever run into a parking issue for ice skating, they own the property next door.
oh, I appreciate that. I should point
So
out.
I just want to say, if you get with Miss Whalen, you guys could possibly work that out.
Okay, thanks. We did ask at Silo Ridge, and they actually said if there were more than 24 cars, they'd fit them in there. So that was very nice. They have a couple of other parking spots. They're a little bit more of a walk to the rink, but we should be good for that.
Next door as well.
But
so.
I will absolutely, if there appears to be not enough room, I will definitely take advantage of that generous offer. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes, you can give a report on the comp plan, sure.
Since you're gonna be here all night, I wanna be here all night. I'm Bill Flood. I'm the chairman of the Comprehensive Plan Update. We had a meeting on, which is Ken is also a member. We had a meeting on the 21st, our first official meeting this year. So we've agreed to make an action implementation plan rather than a wholesale comprehensive plan update. So we're going to update what we have. Some of it, what we're going to add as an addendum to the existing plan. So it's just going to make life a lot easier for us. We've also hired Pace Law to help us with the update. You'll be I think you received an email today from Nina Peak that you'll get a contract. The contract is coming also. And there's actually a second contract which Pace subs out part of the job to another firm, so we need to do a contract with that firm as well, a little bit sooner than the other one. So we will have the process of, we'll begin with community engagement and outreach, seeking Amenia residents and business input on the priority issues and opportunities facing the town. And as of the Economic Development Corp as well, they would help as well. So we would have engagement to include community meetings, website, online survey, and pop-up events. What we'd like to do is a public hearing here and one in the hamlet of Wassaic as well, so we can get everybody's comments. The comp plan committee is in the process of retaining Pace Law Center and their partner Nexus Creative Design to provide engagement and outreach support. So we'll set up they'll set up a website so the public can have their space, their comments, and so on and so forth on their own website, on our own website. And we anticipate a spring 2025 launch of this initiative. And that's all I've got to report. So we started it, we'll get things moving.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, discussion items. I guess the first one was the community development block grant application. I just wanted to see if anyone on the board had any thoughts about where that, what we might apply for.
So my first question would be, can we split up what the grant is applied? You know, how we apply for the grant? Or do we have to dedicate it all just to one particular project?
It's probably better if they're related, but I don't think it has to be just one project.
Regarding timing of this grant and our compliance issues for the LSL and repairs and all that, how does this figure it in, time-wise? What are you talking about? About the water project.
Right, I think he's saying if you're trying to get it to go for water,
Yeah.
do we have everything we need for it to be towards water? In the,
Well,
for the timing of the application?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there is stuff to be drawn now that we have the plan. And
Bill, did you want to comment on this? No? Sorry.
This is public,
That's right.
this is for us to discuss, right?
Yeah.
And you're here in front of the public.
Yeah. So no, I don't have an answer on that.
The timing of when we have to complete the project?
Oh, you mean if you get the grant?
Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
it's
Oh, thank you, you didn't say that.
The community development block grant application comes out now. The awards are at the end of the year, and the money is not available until 2026. And generally speaking, you have a year to 2 years, and you can ask for extensions. The water district project is fully planned out. The next phase would ultimately be the board needs to bond it next month, and then the map planning report is accepted. And the timeline of that is that there would be bidding that happens at the fourth quarter of this year for that project.
Thank you.
My feeling is that this playground has been in disrepair for, the playground equipment down at Beacon Park has been in disrepair for a good 10 years, if not better. I would suggest that we focus, the water district, that's gonna be something that's gonna be worked on over the next 5-6 years, right? And we're gonna be applying for grants continuously. I would recommend that we focus on getting the playground equipment for this year and then go to water district next year.
Okay, is there a reason that rec hasn't used any of their capital money
Oh, I
in all
can't,
this
I
time?
can't.
Okay.
They've used their capital money as far as I know.
Well,
They've
not-
spent $20,000-$30,000. They only get $1,200 a month.
So we have
I
a
mean, it's not a lot.
playground in back of us here with equipment, and then we want to, the rec committee wants to replace the existing playground equipment at Beekman Park, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My only fear now is though, Judy, that with the quote we have, if the money's not awarded until next year, I'm just worried that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it.
I wasn't either.
And that bid is no longer going.
Exactly. If we needed to be able to do that this year,
Yeah.
quite frankly, in the next few months, to honor a quote we had that would have been covered with this grant. So I'm not sure that it makes sense. Right, I'm not sure it
So-
makes sense to do it for rec.
To do it for rec, for
Right.
that reason. Okay, well, I was just following
Yeah.
along with what Ms. Moran had suggested.
No, because it's what we had talked about, yeah.
I was not aware that.
And Leo actually is the one that brought it up first for Beacon Park at the
All right,
last
so then-
meeting.
Then I have an agreement then.
Yeah,
Let's do water, because, you know, that's a what, I think we're proposing is $4 million bond up there. And I know the majority, what is that, 280 homes, tops?
I thought it was 300 and something.
There's 302 service connections.
Okay. Oh, right, some of them are businesses, right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a lot of low and middle income residents that we've all known for all of our entire lives up here. They're gonna struggle with this, there's no
Well,
doubt.
the water is actually a much easier thing to get grant money
Oh,
for
yeah,
than
no,
either
no, I
the
understand.
highway
I mean,
garage or the
I mean,
wastewater.
there's multiple issues up there, right? It was years of neglect. There wasn't a savings created to be ready to deal with these problems, which would have been the smart thing to do. Rates were never raised.
Right.
The fire department can't put a fire out because the hydrants don't work. I mean, there's multiple issues. We have no choice. We gotta fix it. I mean,
No,
it's,
very true, and we
Yeah.
had some really bad advice from the previous water operator. So that made it, I mean, a lot of it is just maintenance that never happened or attention.
I'm in favor of applying it towards the water district.
Okay. All right. So why don't we actually, are people ready to make a decision or? Okay, so I will make a motion that we devote, we apply for a community development block grant of $200,000 for expenses of the water district.
I second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes?
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Grublar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes,
So I will prepare a resolution for next meeting.
thank you.
Because CDBG on the
Okay. Did you say you didn't want to discuss?
Well, I don't think there's anything for us really to discuss on the zoning law. We've all kind of agreed that there's a lot of comments that came back. We
We'll
have
just wait.
time. Yeah, we
can
have
discuss
time.
it next time.
We have time to work this out. There's no
Everyone
reason
okay
to
with
rush
that?
this.
Well, I am okay with it, but I guess I need to clarify something. So we need three things. We need to repeal the opt-out. We need to, which to me, logically, would say when we repeal that, it automatically means you opt in, but apparently not. So we also have to vote on opting in. And my question is, can we opt in without the law? Because it concerns me, Paul, I'm asking the expert
okay.
down there at the end. And can we approve an opt-in without having a law in place?
So, if I understand the question right, we opted out. Okay, so the state legalized it. They legalized dispensaries and consumption, all right? Prior to that law going into effect, communities had the opportunity to opt out. We were one of those communities. We opted out on both counts. Now, the law also provided that if you wanted to later on, you could opt back in. So in order to opt back in, we have to repeal our opt-out and then opt back in either to both or dispensary and consumption, or just to dispensary, which is what the resolution in the local laws before you is to do that. That is subject to a permissive referendum. If someone files a petition, and there's a proper petition filed, that will go to the ballot.
But can we do that without the local law?
Yeah, she's asking.
That's what she's
No.
asking.
No, you have to do it by a local law.
In order to allow for potential referendum.
No, the zoning, like,
The
zoning
the
aspect. She's
zoning
asking-
law.
she's asking,
So,
can we
so
move
how
forward on the
how
opt-in?
can we opt in before we know where we're gonna put one?
So, as you recall, when we first started this, my recommendation to the board was to make sure we know how we're gonna regulate it before we opt in.
Right.
Okay, so there's a 45-day period before anyone can submit a 45-day period to submit the petition. If a petition is filed, my understanding is that there's likely a petition to be filed here. So if that is filed, this law, even if you adopt it today, it's subject to the permissive referendum, which then means if there is a petition filed, then it goes to the election. So this law doesn't go into effect until then. So the zoning law has plenty of time to do it.
So we also have to have
But
final.
I guess my question though is, so it goes to permissive referendum and it goes on the ballot. So we have time between now and the time it goes on the ballot, if we should get one, to have the zoning law. Supposing though there is no referendum or
No petition filed?
petition filed, then we have an opt-in with no place to put it.
Correct, because we would have to take these, we're gonna have to take the comments that were made. The planner will rework based on that, under the board's guidance. They redraft, and then we would reintroduce a local law at that point. So then you're looking at reintroduce, public hearing, and after the public hearing, you could pass, which could be done as quickly as,
Even if we, let me ask if I'm correct on this. If we vote to opt in, this has to, our vote, or our decision has to get circulated at the county and at the state level as well, still, correct?
on which aspect?
That we both chose to opt in. There has to be final, signature approval from the state that we chose to opt in.
We noticed that.
Because that's my understanding of it. There's another hurdle that has to be cleared.
We noticed them. We noticed when we opt out.
On the opt-out,
And then we're gonna have to change it when we opt in.
yeah, but it's still, that would go to the law will go into effect. Once you opt out, you repeal that, you're opting back in, then you're in once that gets approved and filed with the state. So there is a filing process with the
Yes.
state, yes.
So so I would think that we would have 60, 90 days to get the zoning law worked out. If it did not go to petition.
I don't think it would be that long, but yes, there would be some time.
So I'm sorry.
No, please.
Because you're
So
gonna have to
if-
wait
if
at least
there-
45 days.
If there is a zoning law though, does that zoning law itself, is that open to public hearing too?
Absolutely. Any local law we introduce would be subject to a public hearing.
I'm missing something here.
Well, there's the, what?
I don't see any point in opting in until we have the zoning law set and ready to go, and then we have the public hearing on, and then do it all at once.
But it doesn't allow the public to request a referendum.
To do the petition.
Until we opt in.
Right.
So that,
But they could do it then though. So if we adjust the law, if we look at the comments, right, and we come up with a new law, after we discuss it. So at that meeting, and then we have a public hearing on that law that says where it can be, that it has to be 400 feet, all of that. It doesn't make sense to me to not do that together.
So we've been working on this for a year.
I understand that we
Been
have.
a lot of delay. I'm ready just to have the vote on the opt-in, let the board decide. I felt that I've tried to, I know I'm the one that brought it, so I've been trying to accommodate all the concerns. But here we are, 1 year later. You know, we originally hired a planner for $6,000. I'm gonna assume with all the lawyer costs, we're at $20,000, $30,000 spent on this now. It's become expensive. You know, it wasn't, I didn't think it would be this complicated or divisive up here at the town board. 2 years ago, when they chose to opt out, they had 2 public hearings and it was done. Here we are, 1 year later, still discussing this item. I would recommend that we have our vote tonight and just be done with it.
Ian, what were you gonna say?
The ice skates. The ice skates. She's trying to understand, Paul, to make it easier, is that she's trying to understand if you
I know-
opt
I know
in,
what you're
right,
saying.
with no zoning, so she's identifying the same subject that the prior board went through when they were deciding if they're gonna opt in or opt out. at the time they opted out.
Yep.
So when you guys wanted to bring it back, Ian explained, you need to have the zoning to go with it at the same time, because even if you opt in, they still have nowhere to go because there's no regulation.
Okay,
I-
so but
I
it-
think
it
the
doesn't
question-
affect anything,
I think
right? All we're deciding is, we're getting, what's the sense of having, spending any more money on the zoning if we choose not to opt in? What if we stay opt out? Now we've spent all this money on the zoning for no reason whatsoever.
Which is,
I'm just saying that we should have the vote on the opt-in and be done with it.
I
That's all.
think Rosanna's question is essentially, if we vote on the opt-in, is there going to be a period of time with which we do not have a regulation in place? If no one files a petition, there is a potential for a window of time.
But what would happen, they would submit their application to the planning board, and the planning board would say, oh, we can't let you have a store because we have no zoning law. I'm not really understanding the complication of it. Is that how it would work?
But we haven't asked the planning board
I'm not
to
going to
do
speak for the
that.
planning board,
The
but
planning board is not the one deciding that, it's the town board. So they
No,
don't.
no, but I'm saying that the application, if someone submitted an application to open a dispensary, it would go nowheres because there's no zoning law in place yet. That's the point I'm trying to make is, we're so focused on this zoning law that we haven't decided if we're gonna even opt in or not. We need to make that decision though, because otherwise we've spent all this time and money on crafting a zoning law for naught.
Well, my question then is just, is there a situation, Ian, where if we've opted in and the zoning law isn't finished, is there actually a chance that someone could open a dispensary ahead of us having the zoning for it?
theoretically, there would be a chance. Whomever would do that would have to have, I mean, there's a process even to get the licensing to do that, and the licensing to do that is remarkably difficult. So if there was a candidate that came before the board with an application, there's a number of avenues to get approval for them. So theoretically, if somebody got an application in, the issue is if they file the application, the planning board, they would be filing it under your current code and trying to shoehorn it in somewhere on your code. And then if you deny it, you could be in a battle there.
They also have to get approval from the state, correct?
They have to get their licensing first from the
Right,
state.
but
So,
the
so
state also, and they also have to get final, in part of all that, they
Yep.
have to, it has to be sent to Dutchess County, to the sheriffs, all that other stuff. If any of these other state agencies or county agencies saw that we didn't have a zoning law in place, pretty sure they're gonna deny it.
I mean, I'm not in the position to advise the board on filing a license for marijuana dispensary. That's becoming a very very unique specialty of its own, so I don't,
So we opt in, what's the timeline for the petitions? When do they have to have that done by?
if you opt in, you have 45 days to file the petition. If the
Okay.
petition is filed in that time frame, this whole conversation's for naught.
Right, because then it goes to the ballot. Do we have to have,
Correct.
do we have to have the zoning law done by that time? Or can it, because it's gonna go to vote by the
I-
public.
I would recommend it to be
So
done
we
by
have
that
technically until now, until November, because we all know that we're pretty confident this is gonna get petitioned.
It would certainly put you on the clock, yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay. So the next subject was term limits, and you had a new proposal, Paul?
Yes, the term limits of lifetime was 16-year lifetime. The reason I had brought this up, I know a lot of people in the community have said, well, we don't have a problem. We've always been able to vote people out, or people voluntarily step down. The same thing happened with our presidency. From George Washington to Roosevelt, every president voluntarily stepped down after 2 terms. And Roosevelt decided to run for 4 terms. The country's response to that was the 22nd Amendment, making a law that you could only have it for 2. Well, this community here had leaders all the way up until 2 recent ones that voluntarily stepped down after 8 or 12 years. They just voluntarily did it. They just walked away. And then suddenly, we had two leaders on this town board who respectively sat up here for 18 years and 20 years, and were both running for terms again. That bothered me. It's, it's kind of, you get you're not having new blood on there, you're not having new eyes looking at problems. So I talked to the community, and they said, yes, they want term limits. As you guys know, I used Facebook to gather a poll. I know not everybody agrees with that, but at the end of the day, the community, we get 4 or 5 people standing here talking, we get 4 or 5 emails. The dispensary got 108 votes, and the term limits got 85 votes. That's the most involvement I've seen in this community in years. I mean, it's not rocket science that we need to expand how we gather our information so we can operate clearly as a town board. So there was 3 options. There's 12 consecutive years, and then you have to take 1 election cycle off, and then you can continue running. The other option was 16-year term limit. That's it. And the other one was no term limits. There was only 28% of votes for no term limits. Everybody else that voted in this wanted some type of term limits. The other thing that it bothers me, not putting it to the town to vote on, but after speaking with our town lawyer, there is no prior case law that allows us to put this on a public referendum, unfortunately. If we put this on the November 4th ballot, the town would be exposed to a possible lawsuit, and I'm not about wanting to create more lawsuits. So I asked the town board to consider directing the town lawyer to create a 12-year consecutive term limit audit, with one where you step down for 1 cycle and then you continue on.
So I'm sorry, the last time that we talked about this, you were saying that there would be a 16-year maximum
Yeah, lifetime.
for anyone.
Lifetime.
And this time you're saying it would be 12 years and a term off, and then
And
12 more years.
then they can keep going.
Okay.
So my question was, because I know there was concern about, what there's times where we haven't had anybody to run. Is there a way that if we do the 12-year with 1 term off, there can be some kind of, petition so that if nobody runs, that person can
So
then?
If we create this, since we're creating this as a local law, and the town board has proven it, any town board can address, in the future, they can address any problems that might come up. It's up to the town boards every year.
No, but that wasn't my
They
question.
could amend this local law to fit the needs at that
But
time.
that was my question too. I mean, if there's no candidates, and
That-
the
I
law-
would think-
Is it because there was no candidates, because somebody was sitting up there for 16, 20 years? I mean,
No,
I'm not
if
saying it's gonna
if they're
happen.
running if they're running unopposed, okay? Let's just leave it.
yeah, but if they're running unopposed, it's only gonna matter if it's up on the 12th year, on their final 12th year, right?
Paul, I guess my feeling, as I said last time, is that I don't really see this as a problem. Everyone gets to vote each time for those people. If they don't think they're doing a good job, they vote them out. But the bigger problem in Amenia is that people often don't have anyone running against them. So I think what we need is kind of more, I'm much less worried about term limits than I am about people actually volunteering and stepping up and doing these
Oh,
jobs.
I'm very concerned about that as well, but I think it's something that the community would appreciate. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And I said before and I say it again, my concern is that it's a small town. I've spoken to people as well. By the way, for the cannabis survey you did, I did go on and check everyone on the voter list, and there was less than 50% of the people that voted on your thing that were actually voters in the town of Amenia. Did not, after spending a Sunday afternoon doing that, did not go through the one that you did for the other survey. But it's 86 people out of, 1,000 possible voters, number one. It's only people that are on Facebook, number two. I can't really speak to age, but I mean, it just is, it doesn't make sense to me when we're basically saying to the people of the town of Amenia that we don't have confidence in your ability to vote someone out if you don't like them there anymore. They did it the last time, they did it in 2023. Yes, we did have somebody there for 18 years and 20 years, and they got voted out when the people decided it was time for a change. So I think it's really risky. I think to set up a law that says, well, and if we have a problem down the road, then we'll just change it. And that seems to be kind of an issue for me. I mean, I can't guarantee there will be a problem, but I do know that there have been times where nobody is run against somebody else, and I just think it's really risky.
Anyone else? Because we do get to vote on this later.
Okay.
I mean, there's a resolution. Ian, will you do the electric charging station?
So are we gonna take a little vote on whether we're gonna order the town lawyer to create the term limit laws?
Don't we have a resolution about the term limit law?
No?
Oh, we
No,
don't?
that-
Okay, I'm sorry, my
No.
mistake.
We
I
gotta-
thought we
gotta
did have
we
one.
gotta- As a
I
town
thought we
board, we
did.
gotta decide.
It's on supervisor limits.
Yeah, we did the
Ah,
That's
supervisor.
the resolution.
So
Supervisor
now we have to
limit.
vote on whether we're going to direct him
I
to create a
see.
local law for.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a motion to direct me to,
Yeah.
to
So I
draft.
make a motion to direct Ian to create the 12-year consecutive term limits with one cycle off. Would be a second, and then we would vote.
Second.
Supervisor Blackman?
No?
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Herbelard?
Yes.
Ham?
No.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
So I will prepare the local law and a resolution to introduce at the next meeting.
Don't complain about the lawyers, please.
Well, it's probably only gonna cost us, as long as we stay up the email chain, it should probably only cost us like $2,000.
Okay, so anyway, then we're done with that vote and that motion, and I'm gonna have Ian introduce electric cars. 'Cause I'm speaking of
Electric
this.
cars.
All right. I'll try to be very brief and to the point here. The EV stations, EV charging stations, sorry. Pursuant to the grant, there's a requirement based on information that we were unaware of. There's a requirement for an easement. However, we've obtained a survey, and the survey's indicated that the actual parking area for the rail trail and the EV station, where we want to put the EV charging station, the actual parking lot is on our property. And so I've discussed this with the county. I've discussed it with Parks, the state. State is in agreement with me, which that's an amazing thing to get, right? The state agrees with you on something. So that the easement based on this survey is not necessary. However, I've been in email communications with the DEC, the individual who is in charge of the grant. That's who's going to dictate really what happens. I've raised the issue with them. I've asked to actually have a conference with them. So they've been a little resistant to get on the phone with me because I'm an attorney. But I've requested a conference call with them and their attorney to discuss the issue. I've sent the surveys to them so they can see. The parking lot encroaches sufficiently to have the two parking spaces almost exactly how we wanted them, where we had planned on putting them. So if we can circumvent having to do this easement and coordinating with the state who owns the land and leases it to the county, and there's a maintenance agreement involved there as well. If I can circumvent all of that, it would save us a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of headache. So that's the primary issue. The secondary issue behind that is the state is also going to address the fact that there's no there's no easement for their encroachment. So we're working on correcting that as well. But that's the long and the short. More to come.
Question, will we be able to get all this resolved before the deadline for the grant money? We have the award, and there's a time limit on when we have to get this.
Understood. I know there's a time limit, and that's why I've requested the call with the administrator of the grant So I'm talking directly with them, but they're only going through email, which is, it's like slower than possibly could be that way. I don't anticipate this being a long process because I literally have all the parties right now aligned with a plan forward to address any of the questions that they have. So I'm hoping we can circumvent it.
So I have one question about this. So we have a grant to put these electrical vehicle charging stations in. And so afterwards, now people are pulling up, what's happening? How are the bills made? Is it the town or do they have to sign a quick card? How does this work?
Yeah, I'm not fully familiar with all that, but I believe the grant covers, I think, up to 10 years or something like that. It covers a long time of any expenses with regards to.
There's one main vendor of these charging stations, and so the grant pays for the charging station, and then there's a split between the vendor that ultimately maintains the station of the revenue that comes off of it.
Okay.
With the town.
Oh, we might see revenue.
How about that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do this by revenue, right?
I would also like to thank Stacy Mantle. She and Leo, they were able to get me the information on that timely, so that was very helpful, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. We received not as many submissions for the logo as I had hoped, but we basically have, let's see. I don't know if people saw them outside. They were pinned up.
I'm trying to hold them up for the
Oh, they're front
TV
and
guy.
back. Oh, the
Maybe he
TV
can zone in
guy.
on them, right? We got those two. We have this,
Strange brew.
and we have this, and we have a description of a mixture of Fountain Square, the bank, the mill, Wasaic project, and fields. So we have, what, five suggestions? Did I show this one? Yeah, okay.
I want to combine these two.
Six suggestions. I think they're all wonderful. I like the idea of having multiple locations, included into the seal if it's possible. I mean, but we also have to think, is that gonna translate into a small graph?
No, I mean, that's the problem with the seal we have
Yeah.
now, is you don't understand what it is when it's shrunk down,
Yeah.
or if you're looking at it larger on a sign,
Yeah.
going past it,
Yeah.
you don't really understand. I mean, it is complicated, because we do have, it would be nice to recognize each of the hamlets, but
Yeah,
there's just
'cause
not
we
room
have-
on
we
the
have
seal.
I do too, but I want the
Goes on
fountain in
this
it.
community.
You know what I mean? I want
I
to,
mean, the
I
one with
like
Fountain Square
this.
seems to be pretty straightforward, right? And everyone in town associates Fountain Square.
Yeah, but the rolling hills, I think, are
Yeah, I
symbolic.
love that. I
I
love
want to
that.
combine these two. I'm drawing it up right now.
And just, we're not giving any thought to.
What Ken said?
To what Ken said about the.
So, yeah, I kind of heard what he was saying, and he's kind of saying that the people I felt like he was saying that the people that have been here shouldn't be the ones kind of suggesting what we are in the future. And then they're going to be the ones that say that. We know we struggle to get the community to interact anyway. That's why I suggested, let's try to do the high school, and then you guys brought up, it's militant kids up there too. Because I think we would have gotten a lot more drawings if we had included the high school. It's gonna be a struggle, whatever we do, because we just don't get the community involvement that we need.
Well, agreed. I mean, but at this moment, since we have to turn this over to the graphic designer, it would be good to get a sense of, I mean, if the issue is what image do we want to present to the world, and do we want something that somehow expresses, our hope for what Amenia will be in 10 years, or are we looking for something that represents the town because we see it every day?
Sorry, so Fountain Square, it's been there for as long as I can remember. You look back in photos, and it used to be out there in the middle of 4422. I like that one
And I
personally.
remember when it was there. But,
Thank you for that, Rosanna.
you're very welcome. And there used to be parking between Fountain Square and the bank, too. There was
I
parking
remember that.
spaces. See, I'm not that old.
So that's just my opinion. I'm comfortable with that one. I mean, it's up to the rest of the board.
But I think, and I guess one of the reasons that I really like this one is the fact that one thing that's not gonna change is the geography. You know, I mean, Amenia really is, you know, like the gateway to the Berkshires or whatever, and I think that whole, the whole beauty of, and yes, it's nice to have Fountain Square, you know, and put Fountain Square in there, I mean, that's fine, but I do think that, there does have to be some of the backdrop, the scenery, the thing that doesn't change.
So my question would be is, I see a lot on the town of Amenia there, with the farms and the cows and the wheat and the mill. Is that gonna reduce to a recognizable seal, would be my question.
Well, yeah, you gotta keep it simple.
Yeah, that would be my only question.
Have
So
you
that,
seen Dover's?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen Dover's?
No, I have not.
That's
I
nice.
don't normally go looking at
What's in
town
there?
seals. So maybe we have, the graphic designer do both of them, reduce it, and see what it looks like.
I mean, I think we should tell them that those are the ones that we feel most strongly about.
Yeah, maybe they can, or.
And, because I mean, I think it's possible to like reduce those down to
Yeah.
stuff that's gonna
But we want it to
read
be
more
clean,
clearly.
we want it to be clean.
Okay, I mean, is that the gist of, oh, that's Dover?
That's town Dover.
Very nice,
Yeah, so it's, oh, wow.
very
That's
colorful.
nice. So, yeah, Dover's got a lot on it, okay. Maybe we just
How
hired
come they
a
have
bad
two?
graphic designer last time. And that's what we got on the current town basis. I mean,
Dover.
if anybody
Oh,
can
that's
see
Dover,
that,
Mass.
that's our current town.
That
you
was
know.
Dover, Massachusetts. That's why it's so glamorous.
Our town seal is really hard to,
This is the
see
Dover
or to interpret what is
seal.
there.
Yeah.
It might be too much information there, that's what we're discussing here. So we're kind of discussing, having the idea of the graphic designer take a couple of different ones and reduce them down and then look at it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should give him that direction and then there's
That's
Dover.
Dover.
Yeah, that's blurry too, it's not real clear.
Well, this resolution.
Well, yeah, but it's just, it
Yeah, but
doesn't pop.
if it's
right?
a normal size, it's clear.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
I-
when he enlarged it.
It doesn't pop though, there's too much there.
I think,
That's like a farming thing.
I think
They're not
ours though
farmers
is
quite the farmers that
muddy
used to
because
be.
we don't have the original.
Yeah.
So it was a picture of a picture of a picture that kept getting
So,
reused.
so I took Ken's comment to heart, and the word he used was branding, and that makes me think of the future of the town. And his recommendation is that the Comprehensive Plan Committee and the Economic Development Plan Committee should have a comment on it, and I think he's right.
Okay, I mean, it's not, is this something that we have to get done?
Yes, I mean,
Okay, no,
we
I'm
need it
asking,
for the,
I'm
we
asking.
need it for the sign and we need it for the work on the website.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I wish,
So the sign itself, you're talking about the electronic sign.
we're talking about the electronic
LED.
sign
So
and
the sign
website.
itself can be installed with the frame, and then you can always add, you know, as you see in a lot of signs above it, you know, the sign.
The town of Amenia.
Mhm.
That can be
Later
done
on.
later on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, it's
Yeah.
less than ideal, but yes. But
It's-
we also need it on the
it's not-
website and we
it's-
can't really delay that
It's
forever, right?
progress, not perfection, okay?
But a website can be, right, we can pick and do one of these and spend $5,000 on it, right? Website, you know, that's all written by code. Takes a coder half an hour to change the code and create, and change that.
No, but we need the font for the word Amenia, there's a bunch of stuff. So
I
why don't
understand
we
that.
let the graphic designer do his job and then let all of us and let Ken's committee look at it.
Okay.
Rather than just kind of circling around the drain.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Dawn?
Leo, if somebody in the audience wanted to make a comment,
Oh,
Would it be
I
all
didn't
right?
see.
They gotta wait until the last public, they gotta wait
Oh,
until the last.
Judy.
it's on this subject, so be
Okay,
prepared,
Judy.
yes, the way.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they gotta wait until the last one there, so we can get through this thing here tonight.
Okay,
Okay.
We gotta try to tighten it up here, right? 'Cause
All right.
otherwise we run these things forever.
you guys are still going.
Okay.
Come on.
All right, so we move to the resolutions.
Are we gonna do it the new way? Just read the title?
Yeah, that's-
Because they were on.
Not yet.
No, you can't.
Oh, we gotta read every individual one? Oh, goodness
So
gracious.
so you got the new rule,
Okay, well,
which is number two resolutions here.
Yes, that is
But
not part of the
Just remember, the purpose
resolutions.
of reading it is so people can understand it. Too, right? I mean, we don't want to read them too fast.
No, all right, well, let me start and see what speed I can get to. Resolution number,
25, and just speak into your microphones. We're getting a
Oh.
comment that it's a little muffled tonight.
who said that?
Well,
Okay. Resolution number 25 of 2025, readopting a Town of Amenia procurement policy. Whereas pursuant to General Municipal Law 104B, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia adopted the Town of Amenia procurement policy by Resolution number 1, 1993 on January 21st, 1993. And whereas by Resolution 45 of 2009, adopted on December 17th, 2009, the Town Board adopted an amended procurement policy, revising the policy adopted in January 21st, 1993. And whereas the Town Board is now seeking to revise the Town of Amenia procurement policy and has caused the preparation of a revised, I think it's a spelling thing, revised procurement policy. And whereas the town has reviewed the revised Town of Amenia procurement policy and has recommended approval. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby adopts the revised Town of Amenia procurement policy, a copy of which is annexed here too. 3, the adoption of the revised procurement policy replaces any previous policies that may have been adopted regarding the procurement of goods and services. 4, any and all procurement procedures not specifically covered in the revised procurement policy will be adhered to as covered in GML 104B. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia shall annually review the procurement policy at its first organizing meeting of the year or as soon thereafter as is reasonably practicable. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Rebelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Town of Amenia, oh, I'm sorry, this is the order that these were given to us, and is that the same order as they're on the agenda? I don't
Should
think
be.
so.
Yes.
All right, I'll follow the agenda then, I guess, since people have seen that. So that is about the rules of procedure. Okay. Not that. Not this. Six is at the bottom. All right, maybe we should do it in order of what's in the package then.
They're in our packets.
They
that
are
way.
in order.
Yeah.
Just might have
So
stuck
far
to your
mine's-
last,
mine's
check your
coming up the way
resolution,
it's
see if they're
supposed
stuck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Check to see if yours is stuck.
Somebody's always messing with me.
Yeah, we did it intentionally. We were trying to get
Paul,
water.
give him your copy.
I figured. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Okay, resolution number 26 of 2025, adopting new Town of Amenia rules of procedure for regular special informational meetings and workshops. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia previously adopted the Town of Amenia rules of procedure for regular special informational meetings and workshops, Town of Amenia rules of procedure, which have been amended from time to time, and whereas the Town Board is now seeking to revise the Town of Amenia rules of procedure and has caused the preparation of new rules of procedure, and whereas the Town Board has reviewed the new Town of Amenia rules of procedure and has recommended approval, now therefore it be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby adopts the new Town of Amenia rules of procedure effective March 1st, 2025, and a copy of which is annexed here too. The adoption of the new Town of Amenia rules of procedure replaces any previous policies that may have been adopted. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia shall annually review the Town of Amenia rules of procedure at its first organizing meeting of the year or as soon thereafter as is reasonably practicable. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Rebelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
I just want to
Okay.
make one note
Yes.
to the board. It is effective March 1, 2025. The reason it is March 1, 2025 is because
I got back in.
we have to put some things in place, like the agenda will look different, timeframes to get basically one more meeting for last minute stuff. So
Okay.
after that, we have to get back on the schedule that's in those rules.
Okay.
So it gives us a little adjustment period, that's all.
Okay. Okay, the next resolution is 27. Resolution number 27 of 2025, authorizing transfer of remaining balance in Bank of Millbrook, which is the Rail Trail Project account, to Greene County Commercial Bank Bond issued 7/8/2021, and to close said bank account. Whereas the town of Amenia opened a bank account with the Bank of Millbrook, account number 850040, and identified as the Act Ban Wassaic Trail to the Train, which was used to hold the band funds to pay for the Wassaic Trail to the Train project. And whereas the Wassaic Trail to the Train project is now completed, and whereas there is currently a remaining balance of $10,486 in the Bank of Millbrook account number 0850040, and the town board would like to transfer said balance to Greene County Commercial Bank Bond issued 7/8/2021, and close Bank of Millbrook account number 850040. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documentation necessary to transfer the remaining balance of $10,486 in the Bank of Millbrook account number 850040 to Greene County Commercial Bank Bond issued 7/8/2021, and close Bank of Millbrook account number 0850040. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs the use of the funds to pay down the principal balance of the Greene County Commercial Bank Bond issued 7/8/2021 associated with the Wassaic Trail to Train project. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Fablelard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay, someone, do you want to read, you should read this. This is, your
Oh,
stuff.
is this my law?
It's
That I've
your
been
law.
that I've been trying to get done?
The very
Adopting
same.
local law number 28
No, resolution number 28.
of the year 2024, repealing local law number 1 of 2022, and opting in to allow cannabis retail dispensaries within the town of Amenia. Whereas a resolution was duly adopted by the town board of the town of Amenia, introducing a local law entitled Local Law Number X of the year 2024, repealing the local law number 1 of 2022, and opting in to allow cannabis retail dispensaries within the town of Amenia. Whereas a public hearing was duly advertised in the Millerton News and the official newspaper of the town, and whereas a public hearing was held on January 16, 2025, and continued on February 6, 2025, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak on behalf or in opposition to said proposed local law or any part thereof. And whereas the town board determined the proposed local law was a type 2 action not subject to environmental review, and whereas the town board at the due deliberation finds that it is in the best interest of the town to adopt said local law. Excuse me. Whereas said local law has been on the desk of the members of the town board for at least 7 days and exclusive to Sunday prior to adoption of this resolution. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above or incorporated in this resolution is fully set forth and adopted therein. The town board, town of Amenia hereby adopts a local law entitled Local Law Number X of the year 2024, repealing local law number 1 of 2022, and opting in to allow cannabis retail dispensaries within the town of Amenia in the form annexed hereto. The town clerk is directed to, within 10 days of the adoption of this resolution, to publish a copy of the local law together with the notice of adoption in the Millerton News, the official newspaper of the town of Amenia, and to post a copy thereof on the town's official signboard maintained pursuant to 306 of the town law and the town's website. The town clerk is further directed to enter local law in minutes of this meeting into the local law book for the town of Amenia, and shall file the local law with the Secretary of the State of New York upon expression of the permissive referendum as provided by law. The town clerk is further directed to file a copy of the local law with the Office of Cannabis Management. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I want to make a comment.
Oh, you go right ahead.
Thank you. So I just want you to know why I'm going to vote the way I am. I'm not comfortable voting to opt in before we have a law.
Okay.
I'd like to make one comment. It's going to be an amendment. So when we originally introduced this, we did it last year, so that's why it was local law of the year 2024, although it's introduced with a blank, since we did it on a crossover of the year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Until
So
the year.
it's technically, this should be, ultimately, it will be one of 2025.
We've already
So
used that, so how about if we make it 0?
I'm just using X.
we've used one of 2025.
Haven't we?
No, this is for local law.
Oh, local
it
law,
starts
I'm
with the
sorry.
number and code.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
got
so
it.
this
So-
isn't number 28, this is number
So
1?
the amendment to the resolution
We'll just be
will be
changing
for the year 2024 will be the year 2025.
Oh, okay.
It's line number 2, and it's in the second
That's
whereas.
where it got, it threw me off.
Yep.
When you
a
were
bit.
saying X, I was.
Yeah,
And
it threw me off.
Oh,
I'm
you're
like,
gonna
wait a
say-
second.
You mean the second therefore?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the only
Where's
two,
this one?
making it
Yep.
5.
Any further discussion?
Supervisor, okay. Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Revillard,
Yes.
Ham,
No.
Winters,
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Brad, you want
That's
to,
it.
Brad, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Resolution number
29.
29,
Yes.
introducing proposed local law number
This is still X.
This is still
This
X.
is the
I like
introduction.
it.
Yeah,
not
this
the
is
final.
introducing, so this is X. When you introduce it, it goes in as a blank until it's adopted, then it will adopt the new.
of the year 2025, extending the term of office of supervisor, whereas the office of supervisor is an elective official pursuant to Town Law 20, and whereas the term of office of the supervisor is currently set as 2 years pursuant to Town Law 24, and whereas the supervisor is required to execute various duties prescribed by federal law, New York State law, and the Town of Amenia Code, and oversee the operation of the town, and whereas it takes an extensive amount of time and effort for the supervisor to become educated about all of the statutory duties incumbent on the office, and whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town of Amenia to extend the term of the office of the supervisor to 4 years, in line with other elected officials. Whereas the town of Amenia has the authority to supersede town, state, local law 24 and extend the term of the office of the supervisor from 2 to 4 years pursuant to municipal law, home rule law 10-1, and these are subtitles, 10-1, 2A, and 1, I believe. And municipal law, home rule number 10, very close to that one. And whereas pursuant to municipal law, home rule law number 23, local law that extends the term of office of an elected official is subject to the mandatory referendum and must be approved by an affirmative vote of a majority of the qualified electors of the town. And whereas the town board intends to hold a mandatory referendum at its biennial general election, the town to be held on November 4th, 2025. Now and therefore, it be resolved the following. The recitations set forth in it are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby introduces for adoption proposed local law number X of 2025 in the form of in the form annexed hereunto. The town board hereby determines that the enactment of the aforesaid local law is a type 2 action as defined in 6 NYCRR 617.5 C 33, and accordingly the town board hereby expressly determines that the adoption of this local law is not an action that requires review pursuant to the provisions of New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, or pursuant to Chapter 6 of the NYCRR Part 617. the town board hereby schedules a public hearing on proposed adoption of the local law number X to be held in the Town Hall, 4988 Route 22, Amenia, New York on
We're going to go ahead and move it out until March 6th.
March 6, 2025, 7 p.m., and the town clerk is directed to post notice of a public hearing in the form annexed hereunto, and to publish the same on the official newspapers, the town, as required by law, and to post said notice on the official sign board maintained by the town clerk. And I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a question. So what exactly are we voting on? So, you know, it's, are we voting on changing the term, putting it up for mandatory referendum, or the public hearing? I mean, there's like three things there.
All of it.
Okay, so that's the process. So you're voting, you're to introduce a local law to change the term from 2 to 4 years. That local law is subject to a mandatory referendum. You still have to go through the local law process, meaning you set the public hearing, we have the public hearing, and then we would adopt that local law. When you adopt that local law, you adopt it subject to the mandatory referendum. So then what'll happen is there'll be a ballot proposition, which will go, that'll be approved by the board, and then that goes off to the Board of Elections, it gets put on the ballot, and that's what everybody will vote on.
Okay, and I'll just reiterate my statement. We voted on this in 2016, and it was voted down by 316 votes. So I don't see the point in doing this. Go ahead.
I will comment that since 2016, our demographics have changed dramatically after 2020. Whenever I was out door knocking for the wastewater a couple years ago, and over on Depot Hill and all of this area of the community, I met a lot of new faces. Our community's changing, the demographics is changing. And people want to see the town ran in a different way somewhat.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Beverler?
Yes.
Ham?
No.
Ahern?
Yes.
You want to take the next one, Rosanna?
What are we doing? Which one is it?
Local law, it's the one that's in a different type, a different font, because it's from the engineer.
Local law 30. That was the law 30.
Authorizing,
I was confused by it.
no, introducing the vote, no.
Wait, is this,
Sorry.
is that right, or am I not?
No, I think that's not right.
Okay, wait a second.
Environmental consultants.
Oh, the environmental consultants, okay, hold on a second. Oh, yeah, it is further
Okay,
back
yes,
in the
all right, so
package.
this is 30, correct?
The fattest.
Authorizing proposal for the environmental consulting services to conduct a review of environmental reports in connection with the donation of land and kilns situated thereon from Deep Hollow Game Preserve LLC. Whereas the Town of Amenia Town Board by Resolution Number 91 of 2024, adopted on August 1st, 2024, authorized the acceptance of a donation of .29 acres, give or take, of land containing 2 historic beehive kilns located on Deep Hollow Road from Deep Hollow Game Preserve LLC pursuant to a donation agreement. And whereas the donation agreement permits the Town of Amenia to conduct an environmental review of the property as part of its due diligence inspections, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia previously retained the engineering services of Labella Associates, DPC, Labella, to conduct a Phase 1 environmental review of the property pursuant of the donation agreement, and whereas Deep Hollow Game Preserve LLC conducted a Phase 2 environmental review, and whereas the Town Board is now seeking environmental consulting services to review and opine on the Phase 2 environmental report submitted to the Town Board, and whereas Partridge Venture Engineering PC, BVE, has submitted a proposal to the Town Board for environmental consulting services for the review of the environmental reports submitted to the Town Board, and whereas the Town Board would like to retain the services of PVE in accordance with their retainer agreement dated January 21st, 2025, a copy of which is annexed hereto, and whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and therefore not subject to review under SECRA. And whereas the environmental consulting services to be provided by PVE to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law Number 103 and the Town of Amenia's procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the proposal from PVE in accordance with the annexed retainer agreement dated January 21st, 2025 for environmental consulting services to conduct a review of the Phase 2 environmental report submitted to the Town Board. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute the annexed retainer agreement from PVE in substantially the same form as annexed hereto. PVE shall be paid in accordance with the fee schedule set forth in the annexed retainer agreement dated January 21st, 2025. I make that motion.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Redlar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Nicole, do you want to take the next one? It's
The Water District one?
yeah, the Water District one that starts with SECRA on the SECRA type 2.
Yep, yeah. Resolution number, is this 31?
31, I believe. 31.
Town of Amenia Water District Number 1 Infrastructure Upgrades Project, Seeker Type 2 classification. Whereas the Town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York, hereinafter the town, has established the public benefit of undertaking necessary infrastructure upgrades for residents of Water District Number 1. And whereas the project includes replacing the Lavelle Road pump house, rehabilitating the water storage tank, upgrading the well fields on Washington Court and Lavelle Road, and replacing undersized water mains within the Water District Number 1 service area. And whereas 6 NYCRR Part 617.5C2 states replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building, energy, or fire codes unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in Section 617.4 of this part, has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment and are precluded from environmental review under Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8. And whereas the proposed project does not meet or exceed any of the thresholds in Section 617.4, now therefore be it resolved in consideration of the foregoing, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby finds that the Water District Number 1 Infrastructure Upgrades Project is a Type 2 action and is not subject to review under SECR. This resolution shall take effect immediately. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Redlar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes,
You want to do the next one too, since they kind of match?
sure.
Thank you. That was 31.
Oh, you hate
Next
me.
one is 30. Wait, hold on a second.
You must really
Here,
hate me.
We're doing this one next.
Number 32? Yeah.
Yep. Map plan and report.
Town of Amenia Water District Number 1 Infrastructure Upgrades Project, map plan and report and public hearing. Whereas the Town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York, hereinafter the town, has established the public benefit of undertaking necessary infrastructure upgrades for residents of Water District Number 1. And whereas the project includes replacing the Lavelle Road pump house, rehabilitating the water storage tank, upgrading the well fields on Washington Court and Lavelle Road, and replacing undersized water mains within the Water District Number 1 service area. And whereas the town has duly caused to be prepared a map plan and report, including an estimate of the cost relating to said improvement of facilities of Water District Number 1 pursuant to an engineering report dated December 2024, prepared by Delaware Engineering DPC professional engineers. And whereas the maximum estimated cost to Water District Number 1 of such improvements is determined to be $3,902,000 or $902,850. And whereas all expenses for any future debt repayment and capital charges for the aforesaid improvements shall be divided among all parcels within the Water District by benefit points assigned according to land type. And whereas expenses for operation and maintenance for the aforesaid water district shall be determined in two parts. First, the fixed costs of operations such as personnel salaries and annual contract costs shall be divided by the total assigned O&M points in the water district. And second, the water use rate shall be determined by subtracting the fixed cost from the annual operation expenses and then dividing this amount by the total water consumed in the previous 4 quarters per 1,000 gallons. And whereas an environmental analysis has been prepared pursuant to the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act in connection with such improvements to the facility of said district, and it has been determined that such improvements and use will not result in any significant environmental effects. And whereas it is now desired to call a public hearing on said proposed improvements of facilities and the map plan and report, including an estimate of cost pursuant to Section 202B of the Town Law. Now therefore be it ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York as follows. Section 1, a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York shall be held at Amenia Town Hall located at 4988 New York 22, Amenia, New York 12501 on
Keep the March date?
March 6th.
March 6th. Is that good for you?
On March 6, 2025, at 7 p.m. prevailing time for the purpose of conducting a public hearing on the improvements of the facilities of Water District Number 1 in said town, consisting of replacement of the Lavelle Road Pump House with a pre-packaged pump house, rehabilitation of the existing 200,000 gallon water storage tank, upgrades to the Washington Court and Lavelle Road wells fields, and replacement of approximately 1,260 linear feet of undersized water mains, together with all related and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith. At such time and place, said town board will hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same. Section 2, a copy of the MPR is available for review at the office of the town clerk. Section 3, the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause a notice of said public hearing to be published in the official newspaper of said town and posted in the manner prescribed by law, which notice shall be in substantially the following form. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that the town of Amenia, town board of the town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York will meet at Amenia. Do I have to read all that again?
You don't have to
Okay,
read- you don't-
thank you.
Go to the
Skip
next
that
page,
whole thing and then
section
just,
four. Go to
section 4,
section
this
four.
resolution shall take effect immediately. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes?
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Grubler?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll do the last one. Glad that it's the last one. Oh, and there is another one listed here, but that was my mistake. I put in the one above and forgot to erase that. Okay, resolution number 33? This one, the last one? Let me just look at what the last one was.
Yes.
What? 33, okay. Terminating contract with Raja Contractors, Inc., and authorizing solicitation of new bids for the extension of Route 44 sidewalk project. Whereas by resolution number 83 of 2023, what? I can't do what?
We're terminating it and authorizing the rebidding. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, where was I before that rude interruption? Okay, whereas by resolution number 83 of 2023, adopted by the Town Board of the Town of Amenia on July 20th, 2023, the Town Board awarded a contract to Raja Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $197,050 for the extension of Route 44 sidewalk project. And whereas LaBelle Associates DPC, on behalf of the Town of Amenia, was assisting Raja with securing a New York State Department of Transportation permit for the contract work, more specifically sidewalk, pedestrian fall protection, and catch basins along portions of Route 44 in the Town of Amenia. And whereas during the permitting process, LaBella was informed by New York State Department of Transportation that the contract documents were never approved during the design phase because the New York State DOT permit reviewer had retired and that the contract documents would need to be reviewed again prior to the issuance of a DOT work permit. And whereas on July 22nd, 2024, almost 2 years after the original review, La Bella was informed by New York State DOT that an additional 35 items needed to be addressed prior to the issuance of a DOT work permit, which were contrary in addition to the prior comments responded to in the original design submittal. And whereas the scope of the project has been significantly increased by the additional 35 items required by New York State DOT, and the town board feels it is in the best interest of the town to terminate the contract with Raja pursuant to paragraph 16.03 of the general conditions of their contract, and whereas the town board of Amenia is now seeking to rebid the project in accordance with new bid specifications, now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitation set forth above or incorporated in this resolution is fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the attorney to the town to terminate the contract with Raja Contractors, Inc. as set forth above. 3, the town board hereby authorizes the solicitation of new bids in accordance with the new bid specifications and associated documents and in accordance with the provisions of 103D of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and all federal aid requirements pertaining to this project. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Councilmembers Winters?
Yes.
Grevlard?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Okay, another crack at public comments. Judy, do you still have something for us? I don't want to force you. Oh,
Oh, I know it was, what were we discussing?
Aaron?
The charging station, was it? She had a comment. I remember you had a comment. I said, we gotta wait, and I
the
want to say.
logo?
It was during our,
Well, while she
no,
gets
it
her
was,
wits
it
about
was either the electric, charging stations or the new logo, one of the two.
Okay, so what I mainly wanted to say about the logo is that the current logo that we have, and I realize no one wants to hear this, could actually have been revised to be able to be shrunk down and in a much more legible fashion. There are programs out there now, including Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, that will shrink items in relation to the size of the lines and areas that are in there, as opposed to just shrinking it all down so that two lines wind up essentially becoming one at some point. I would suggest that somewhere on the Amenia website, these designs are posted, because they were difficult to see, and I'm in the front row, so I don't think anybody in the back saw anything. If you actually want public comment on them at this point. But if the main aim is to make sure that it will reproduce to a very small picture with fine lines, you're likely to wind up with a less interesting logo, that's all. So if you can, if you can go ahead and post those, as I say, and give people a chance to comment, because frankly, the one with the, I'm just going to warn you, the one with the Fountain Square is going to do the same thing when it goes down. Those divided segments are going to be one big block.
Don't look at mine.
So, it's not always as simple as it looks. But,
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, other matters. We have other matters of the board?
I have, when we get to discussions,
Oh, we can do
I
it.
have
town board
one, I don't know
comments.
if it's to the board, but I have something to share. Can I share?
You go right ahead.
All right, so I had the pleasure of zooming in on the community partners meeting, and there are a lot of really great things happening in the community. Mary Alice Merritt is having this during the month of February. There is a feminine hygiene drive, and collection boxes will be placed throughout the communities. Also, there are going to be fundraisers coming up. The Little Free Library program is looking for places in town to put up a station and volunteers to maintain it. It was suggested that Mrs. Merritt reach out to the technology teacher at Weavertuck to build those little stations. I don't know if she did or not. The other thing that I wanted to share, there were a lot of other things, but those are two of the things. But the other major thing is the principal, Amanda Coppola at the Weavertuck Elementary School, is looking for past graduates as part of an initiative to showcase the diverse opportunities available after graduation. The goal is to provide current students with insight into the various career paths and successes of our alumni, and to inspire a greater sense of pride within our district. So if you're interested in being involved in that, you can contact Mrs. Amanda Coppola at the Weavertuck Elementary School. Interviews can be conducted in person, over the phone, or via email, depending on the interviewee's preference. So, thank you.
Okay.
Capola also asked me if we'd be willing to have any designated area in the town hall where they can display their artwork
Oh, that would be great.
of the Weavertuck students. I think specifically the elementary students. And I told her, as long as it's not ceramics. Only because we don't want to be responsible for breaking anybody's.
Okay.
Leo, one matter for other matters is we should have a motion for the intermunicipal agreement with regards with the Village of Millerton based
Oh.
on.
Okay, I will make a motion then that we.
So, I have it for you.
Oh, you wrote it out?
I'll read it out for you.
Okay, you read it out for me.
Little background, Village of Millerton had a fire. They've lost all their trucks, the highway department, I'm sure you guys are aware. They've declared a state of emergency, and Megan has spoken with them. They're in need of a plow truck. We have one available. So this motion is to approve an intermunicipal agreement with the Village of Millerton to provide a 1-ton truck, sander, and plow. The term of this will be during the state of emergency. Should it be extended, this agreement will terminate when the state of emergency is lifted.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Blackman?
Yes.
Council members Winters?
Yes.
Revelar?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul, did you have comments?
Yes, so I just want to get back to this, getting information out to the community. I've created a little chaos here this past week, 2 weeks ago, by making my own notes of our town board meeting and putting them out on social media. I know I upset some people, and I did this because a resident asked me to do this. Because as I was speaking before, we get about 30 to 35 people every 2 weeks that watch it on Amenia TV. We don't know how many people come and actually visit the website. I know we don't get very many town emails, but with my political page, I can kind of count. Now, I can't clearly describe how it works, but that post about the town board meetings had over 2,000 views or interactions in the course of 3 days. Does that mean it's everybody in the town? No. But it showed that it was a new way to get information out. My girls told me that are 19, 18, oh, Dad, that's for old people. Everybody's worried about Facebook, but we have so many other social media platforms. So I want to challenge the town board to think about hiring a informational technology officer that would be under the direction of the town clerk, who would gather this stuff, this information, and find a new way to get it out to the community. We're being ignored at the end of the day, just relying on these town board meetings or hoping people are going to go and read the local newspaper. Times are changing. I know I created a little chaos with my decision to keep posting stuff, but sometimes you gotta push things a little bit to affect change. I just want the community more involved. That's also part of the term limit stuff, it's like this water district stuff. It really frustrates me that, or the town garage, take the town garage, right? I'm a construction superintendent, I build things for a living. I could have built that highway garage 10 years ago for $2.5 million. And instead, because the community wasn't really understanding what was going on and not listening to what the town board was doing, the town board kept putting it off because they didn't want to raise anybody's taxes. Well, now here we are 10 years later, we're at a $6 million bond, and my taxes only went up 30, 40 bucks this year. Would have been a lot less 10 years ago. So the community is not aware of what's going on, and I just want us to find a new way to interact with the community. That's it.
Okay. Well, hopefully the LED sign and the new website will help.
Well, I think
But
we
I
can-
think there's probably social media ways to do it, but
Yeah.
it just should be,
It should be controlled.
it
That's
should
what
be official.
And an informational technology officer, we hire one, and their job is specifically to manage that information and get it out to the public. That's it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would like the board to consider looking at our current code of ethics. Probably after looking at it, I discovered it hasn't been changed since 2011. The second thing is we have no policy for what can be posted on our website by board members or the supervisor. And I saw something recently, and we've all discussed it, and I think we need to have a policy on this as it affects our community and the federal and state and local laws. So I'd like the board to consider putting together a policy on that.
I can respond to one of that. The current Board of Ethics is currently revising, in the process of revising
Excellent.
the code.
Excellent.
So,
So with that one meeting where I covered for you, Rosanna, the ethics committee wanted to recommend to the town board and to all the committees that every committee member and town board member have at least one ethic training session per year. And I think that would behoove us all to do that.
That's good news.
Do they have any new ones?
Hmm?
Do they have any new ones?
No, I don't know. They had to research it because we were going to have to figure out how to pay for it and all this other stuff. But, we currently, we don't give any committee members or any town board members or any employees, do we? Ethics training?
Actually, the court clerks and the judges are mandated.
Okay, well, yeah,
and we did
that's,
have, and the town board, we had some ethics training at the
Yeah.
AOT.
We're supposed to do that once
that's
a year.
AOT, it's the AOT training, right, but that's not
So the town of
mandatory.
Amenia,
You're
Paul,
not-
to answer your question, is we do have an insurance broker through NYMER that you can offer and make it mandatory that they all take these online classes. You just set what classes that are required. It's in like workplace
Well,
violence, sexual harassment, ethics. There's a swarm.
Well, I just filled in for Ms. Ann, that would be on, share that with
So
her, but
that's
I
a
thought it
free
was a great
service for
idea
all
that they
of your-
started discussing
It's
it.
free for everybody.
Okay. Then I'm gonna move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Did we have to go into executive?
Oh, we don't need to do anything else in executive
Did you need
session
anything
yet?
else
No,
with them?
no, I need to go home.
I thought we covered it. Okay, thank you all for
Supervisor
coming.
Blackman?
Oh, we have to vote first.
Thank you.
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
Yes.
Keller? Ham?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Thank you guys, have a great night.
I broke
Yeah,
my
the meeting was adjourned.
I broke my button.
Broke your pen?
My button.
Oh,